Kawasaki Ninja 300. What a ninjas drink. They came out with these in 2013. I had a 250, an 08 250, and it's pretty much the same exact frame. The body style was redesigned though. It went from the single headlight to the dual headlight, which much more appealing, even though still only one headlight comes on and the other's a high beam. I always kind of favor the dual headlights. I think it kind of notable is that the front and the rear caliper are the same exact caliper. So I think that's kind of cool to note. You know, if you ever actually track the bike, then you only have to take one set of brake pads. I love these bikes. I've raced them for a couple years. Pretty much I'm getting on this bike in a stock form because I've ridden flashed bikes and with full system exhaust and aftermarket suspension. I haven't really been on a stock 300 in a while. It's got a Yoshimura slip-on exhaust. Other than that, it's completely stock, which the 400 I'll be test driving is completely stock as well. I just wanted to see what the bike felt like in stock form. That way I could give a more honest review of the 400. I'm not taking anything away from the Ninja 300. I've really enjoyed riding these bikes over the years. I've probably raced one for 2 or 3 years, and I switched to the R3. And I've raced the R3 for going on a year or two now, and now next year I'll be switching to the Ninja 400. Getting on the bike, first thing I know it's low to the ground. This looks way better than the 250 dash, much more elegant. It's very simple, straight to the point. I love the fact that it's got a little fuel gauge right here on the right hand side. Clock, everything's easily readable. It's a nice tidy bike. Like just sitting on it feels good. So, alright, let's take it out. This is a fuel injected bike, which is a step up from the 250. The 250 was always carbureted, so I really like the fact that this is a fuel injected bike. It has a eco mode, ECO, so I guess when you're cruising it throws it into, you know, better fuel mileage, so as soon as you start accelerating that goes away. These Ninja 300s come stock with a slipper clutch. Pretty much what a slipper clutch does is slipper clutch allows the engine to free spin, or the wheels to free spin. It's kind of like a almost like a freewheel on a bicycle. It allows the transmission gears and the rear wheel to continuously spin without the engine slowing it down tremendously. But for the most part, when you let off, the bike coasts a little better without the engine dragging it down significantly. It doesn't lock the back tire up and Now just riding it, I can feel like even just with a small acceleration, I can feel the suspension really squatting under my weight. It definitely feels loose. We'll say that these little bikes, super maneuverable. It's really light and easily flickable. Just move it all around. It's nice. There you go. Just hang out. Just pull out in front of it. There you go. The bike is not, ridiculously powerful. Or it has plenty of power to get up to speed with traffic. Has plenty of power to, drive on the interstate. So I mean, you can keep up with the cars. Taking off from the light. You don't have to worry about, falling behind. And I mean, I'm casually accelerating, and I'm not getting left behind or anything like that. There's still more power to be had out of this. Don't mistake the lack in power of this bike as this bike not being a fun bike to ride. This bike is really fun to ride. The brakes are decent. I wouldn't say they're anything, but it only has one caliper. It doesn't have two calipers. It's a single caliper. It's the handlebars sit higher. So when the handlebars are up on a bike, it makes maneuvering the bike that much easier. Come over here because I kind of want to demonstrate one of the strong suits. Makes it so that you can maneuver the bike easier. So like literally I can just turn the wheel all the way to the left and just do these small little circles practically inside of 2 parking spaces. I mean, you can't really do that with your average sport bike. But I mean, this is pretty much what this bike's designed. It's designed for the ease of riding. So, and as long as you're smooth on, you learn to get smooth on the throttle, you can do little circles inside of 2 parking spaces. Bike's fast enough to get you in trouble, but it's comfortable enough and agile enough for you to have a lot of fun. This isn't a bike that you buy that you really want to modify like for power. This isn't a power bike. It's not always about who has the biggest bike. It's about who gets out there and rides. And I mean, these, for all intents and purposes, this is a fun bike to ride. And a lot of people lose that. I really do love the little gas gauge. Not a lot of bikes have those, but this one does. Take this thing out to some back roads. All right, here we are. Nothing extravagant, just a couple little bendy roads back here. Instead of just city driving, how the 300 actually handles out here, and some of the bends with the stock suspension. The suspension's really bouncy stock. Like, I can feel it just bouncing me around. Now, one of the other things I do like about this, I didn't really touch on, is because the 300 has been out and the 250 share pretty much the exact same chassis as the 300. There's a lot of like suspension that's out for the 300 already. You can take like a 06 to 09, 06 to 09 Gixxer 600 or 750 shock, and all you got to do is really drill it out, and it'll fit into this, and it stiffens it up a lot. Creates a whole different ride for the bike. But I mean, I can feel it wiggling around because the suspension's kind of soft, but the bike wants to lean over. It feels good in the corners. It feels nimble. This is a great learning bike. Like, it really is. I mean, there's no other way of explaining it. So I mean, it feels good for the most part. I can feel whenever I get back on the power or back on the throttle, the back is squatting, and it kind of bouncy, and it shifts around. There's some upgrades to it, and these bikes are fun. They handle your weight. You can throw them around the corner. Go around this truck here. And it's cheap, it's easy to find. It's easy to install. These bikes are cake to work on. really have always liked the 300. I didn't really like the 250. I had a 250 before. I didn't really like the 250, but I do like the 300. Now, there are a couple things with the bike. These are steel frames, they're not aluminum. It had a problem with bending the frame right at the rear sets in an accident. In the end, this is a great bike. I suggest it to any new rider and think that they benefit from riding it in more ways than one.